oh my gosh, I literally walked from France over the whole top of Spain. Or I can look at a map of Italy and be like, I have literally, with my own 2 feet, walked all the way down. And there's like a feeling of accomplishment that is unbelievable.
Hey, friend. Talking with Sue Skelly today was such a heartwarming and inspiring experience. Our conversations centered around her incredible journeys on foot, especially through Italy, and how walking and travel can truly expand our capacity to feel good. Sue shared beautiful stories of the people she's met along the way, highlighting the kindness, warmth, and generosity that exists in every corner of the world. What stood out was how travel, especially moving on foot, allows you to deeply connect both with the land and the people. Sue's reflections on the friendliness of strangers and the helpfulness she's encountered wherever she goes are such a powerful reminder of the goodness that surrounds us when we're open to receiving it. Her stories of Italy and the food and the culture and the simple joy of walking through charming villages will transport you and inspire you to give yourself the opportunity to just book the flight. Savor your life and trust in the kindness of the world so that you can expand your capacity. I can't wait for you to listen to this conversation and feel the warmth and the wisdom that Sue just so naturally shines. So let's dive in. What if I told you that the key to deep peace, healing, and clarity is already within you, just waiting to be unlocked? Welcome to Mountain Breathwork Infused with Reiki. This isn't just breathwork. This isn't just Reiki. It's a powerful, transformative experience. A journey into your own energy, your own breath, your own healing. Your first session right now is donation-based because I want you to feel it, to truly experience the shift. But here's where the magic happens. You'll release stress, stuck energy, and emotional weight that's been holding you back. You'll feel lighter, freer, and deeply connected to yourself, your intuition, and what really matters to you. You'll tap into clarity, creativity, and a profound sense of peace that carries into your daily life. And when you commit to the journey, a 10-session package for $1,011 takes you deeper, unlocking lasting transformation, breakthroughs, and expansion. Available over Zoom. Whether it's just you and a partner, so powerful, your family, so powerful, or just any small group that you're intimate with and you want to work with, you will be guided into a space of safety, release, and renewal. Hosting a retreat, I would love to bring this healing to your community. It's time. Give yourself a deep breath. Say yes to your expansion. Message me to book your first session today. Siri@sageandblushwellness.com. Check the show notes. Welcome to The Authentic Creative, expanding our capacity to feel good. I'm Siri Baruch Thornton, a lifelong healer, teacher, and creative. My journey began in a yoga ashram in Boston and led me through the healing communities of Vermont to over 25 years in the film and TV industry. Along the way, I've learned from spiritual masters, explored meditation, clairvoyance, and embraced my role as a mountain breathwork teacher, Reiki Master of Masters, and Akashic teacher. This podcast is all about inspiring you to expand your capacity to feel good through conversations, tools, and practices that support your inner growth and creativity. So, whether you're seeking healing, transformation, or simply a deeper connection with yourself, join me as we explore what it means to live authentically, creatively, and in alignment with your highest self. Let's dive in. Good. I'm very excited. Sue, I am so thrilled to have you here on The Authentic Creative, expanding our capacity to feel good. That's a mouthful. Your journey is truly inspiring. By the way, I love your blue glasses so much.
Oh, thank you.
You have walked across Spain, Italy, France, and Japan's key peninsula to traveling
35 countries. I love how you've blended your passion for adventure with your work as a certified nutritional counselor and an NLOS wilderness first responder. So amazing. You've lived such a rich and vibrant life, not only through your travels, but also through your beautiful family life in Laguna Hills, California, meeting your husband Jim in Madrid during a semester abroad, and being married since 1988, raising two daughters, two sons, and now enjoying three grandsons. It's incredible how much love and adventure you've embraced along the way. And I just can't wait to dive into your stories, explore what has fueled your passion for exploration and wellness, and hear what wisdom you've gathered through your journey. So thank you for being here, Sue.
Thank you.
I have a question.
How
What
better it is, but
What has what has immersing yourself in different cultures and nature through your travels and long walks taught you about expanding your capacity to feel good and nurturing overall well-being?
wow, that's such a good question. I hope I don't get emotional.
I hope you do.
Just-
Uh,
I'm kind of, I'll be honest, I feel kind of fragile today with some of the current events that happened yesterday in the Middle East. It's sad, it's a heavy time. And I think what travel has done for me, especially in light of the news yesterday that came out of wherever that happened in Palestine,
mm,
um, I think what travel has done for me is to make me realize that as human beings, whether you're in Italy or Japan or France or anywhere,
mm,
all human beings pretty much want the same thing.
yeah.
We just want our kids to be safe.
Mm,
We want to feel loved. We
mm,
want to find our purpose.
yeah.
I think, and politics aside, I hate politics actually. I think all human beings want the same thing.
Yeah.
And if more conversations. But I think what traveling has done for me is to realize there's so many good people all over the world and hospitality all over the world. And if you're nice to people, you get it back tenfold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So,
learn so much when you allow yourself to open to other cultures. And I think you get such an expanded mind, an expanded heart, and an expanded life. And the question about, expanding your capacity to feel good as you started traveling and as you started walking the world in these various cultures, you must have felt like you were reinventing yourself with each step. I'm only imagining.
yeah. Um, I think, let's see. I don't know. Do you want to hear how it started?
Yeah,
Like,
go
okay,
for it.
so um, I studied abroad in 1987. That's where I met my husband, and we had a pretty tight knit group of friends. And we had the professor who was in charge of our study abroad program, Doctora Mercedes Ungara. I don't know. She was an amazing lady from Spain, and she was like head of our Spanish department at my university in Ohio, Bowling Green State University.
Hmm.
And I I had like one semester left before I had to graduate. So I
Hmm.
went to and this was in Ohio, and I went to my advisor and I said, help me figure out what classes to take. And he goes, well, you've taken every class in your major. I
Hmm.
was like, oh. And he goes, but I'm looking, and he goes, you have so many Spanish classes that if you take a few more Spanish classes, you'll have a minor in Spanish. Why don't you go study abroad?
Right.
Oh, I've kind of, yeah, what's the deal with that? So it was like actually cheaper than living on campus. And because back then the dollar was really strong compared to the Spanish. I think it was the peseta. It was before the euro.
Hmm.
And so went to I went to Madrid from January to May on this study abroad program. And back then, every class was in Spanish. It's
Oh.
not like now. And I remember the first day going, I don't understand anything. I had taken Spanish since seventh grade, and I thought, oh, I can speak Spanish. It's totally different when you're standing in the Prado Museum and you've got a local explaining art. And my husband and I were in class together, and I literally looked at him like, what is she saying? He's, I'll help you. And then we ended up married.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful.
But we went to Santiago on a field trip, and the pilgrims were coming in. And back then, you could put your hand on, there's this one place in the cathedral where all the pilgrims would put their hand when they make it from their long pilgrimage. And I said to my professor, what are these people doing? And she goes, oh, this is an ancient pilgrimage. They've been coming for centuries. Many Europeans leave from their front door and walk here.
Wow.
And it's a spiritual pilgrimage. It's not just Catholic, it's people from all faiths, all different faiths go. And the legends say, I think it's true, but I don't know. A historian could document this, I'm not sure. But the bones of Jesus Christ's brother are under the cathedral. So that's why it's a pilgrimage. That's how it started. But now
Okay.
from all faiths, like I walked with people from Israel, I walked with Buddhists. It's just like the most beautiful blend of souls walking on this pilgrim route together. And so I did it in 1918 or 19. I did it in
Don't age yourself
2008.
like that, Sue.
I know. 2000, I did it in 2018. And then I came home. And then in the fall, a woman I had met in Spain said, hey, do you want to walk across Italy with me next summer? I was like, yeah. And then it just so happened like people started saying, if you go back, will you take me? And I thought, maybe there's a need for this. And
Hmm.
so then COVID happened.
Hmm.
But during COVID, I joined a class called Made to Do This with Kathy Heller. And that class helped me have the courage and the mindset to think, okay, maybe I can start my own business.
Yeah.
And so this will be my fourth year taking groups over to Europe. But what
Amazing.
was so life changing for me, and when you said reinvent yourself,
Yeah.
that's the key. That was like the key word. You have to understand. This is kind of embarrassing.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I was always the last kid picked for gym class.
Oh gosh, I know that feeling. I was one of the last or the last. I mean,
Oh no, I specifically have memories. I will not say their names, but it was like two people that I grew up with would argue, you take Sue. No, you take Sue.
oh, that's so painful.
It's so
That
embarrassing.
stays with you.
It does, but you know what's funny is the girl who never won me on her team by high school, we were friends. Like,
Okay.
honest, I almost kind of forgot about it, but then in the back of my mind, it was always there because I always felt like I was too uncoordinated or like by high school, everybody's friends. If you grow up in a little town, if you're fun, you don't remember the kid drama so much. I mean, I don't think those people remembered it. I remembered it.
Mm.
But and I just remember like and then my dad lettered in every sport, like he was a jock. And then I was like, how am I your kid? I feel like I couldn't even catch the softball. I was on the softball team one day and at practice the ball hit me in the head and I'm like, I'm done. And my dad's like, you can't quit. I'm like, I'm quitting. So I had this like weird baggage. And then
Yes. Yeah.
when I walked into Santiago, I had been posting every day for 40 days.
Okay.
And one of the very first person who commented was a woman who she probably would be so sad if she knew she bullied me. It wasn't really bullying. It was more like she didn't want me on her team. She was one of the first people.
Hey, we're going to pause here for just a moment.
What's the thing that's never getting better? The thing that keeps you up at night? The loop you can't seem to break free from? Bring it to our Akashic record reading session. This isn't just a reading. It's a sacred conversation with your soul, with your team, your masters, teachers, and loved ones and guides. A place where the deepest parts of you are seen, heard, and understood. What happens in a session? You receive the clarity you've been searching for. You get the validation for what you've been feeling but couldn't quite name. You experience an energy clearing, releasing lower vibrational and stuck emotions so you can move forward lighter, freer, and more aligned. What if the answers you've been seeking are already waiting for you? In this space, you can finally breathe, release, and receive the relief you've been craving. One session or a package are available over Zoom from anywhere in the world. It's time to lift the weight off your heart. Say yes to clarity. Say yes to relief. Message me to book your Akashic Record reading today. Link in the show notes.
And we're back.
She was one of the first people that like made a comment like, "Oh my God, you're so inspiring. You've
Interesting.
inspired." Yeah. And like I
Yeah.
started getting private messages like, "You've inspired me to start walking my dog around the block," or "You've
Wow.
inspired me to sign up for a 5K."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh." Like I don't want to make it sound like I'm more important than I am, but like if I could inspire one person to go get more active and be healthy, then I was happy about that.
Yeah. In your
So,
purpose, walking in your purpose and
yeah. And
being
also just
active
like
and
and I truly believe that travel changes your life. And
yeah.
so and that's the other thing. After my semester abroad, I Eurailed around Europe by myself for like 6 weeks solo.
Oh, wow.
And so travel is not scary to me.
Hmm.
And I remember one time Kathy Heller, she always says, whatever you can do and other people can't do, that might be one of your purposes to help people. And
Yes.
so I think nothing of like landing in a country, a third world country even, with no reservations like Anthony Bourdain did, I love it. And so if I can inspire other women my age to step out of their comfort zone and kind of step into discovering themselves through travel and adventure,
Hmm.
because it does help you reinvent yourself. It really, I get so much joy from being outside that, and like, especially in a strange environment, like, I love being in a foreign country where I don't know. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but
No, it doesn't, because there's so many thoughts pinging off in my head right now. Just the expansiveness of booking a trip that gives you, first of all, they say, if you want to feel good, like book a trip. And then that period between booking it and going there, you're just excited. You have something to look forward to. You're already dreaming into it. You're already there.
mhm,
So there's that part, right? And then there's like being in a different culture or different area, you can't really fully be stuck in your head. You really have to be navigating in the moment, present in your body,
mhm,
because everything's new. You're forced to be in that Zen, meditative, present moment just by pure nature of the fact that you have to navigate yourself. And even with language, like, oh, I don't know what you're saying, puts you so in present time. So it's kind of like a hack for being your most kind of alive, right?
yeah. Well, there's especially when you walk pilgrimages, because in on the Camino, there's an expression called the Camino always provides, and you, all I can say, it's like a spirit of expectancy, and
I
it's
like
almost
that.
like manifesting miracles every day. Because when you expect a miracle, miracles happen. When you
Yeah.
look, like when you look for the good in people, you
Yeah.
find the good in people.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times when I've been on these walks, like the craziest serendipitous synchronous
Mystic. Yeah.
synchronistic
Synchronistic
synchronistic, thank
occurrences.
you.
Yeah.
These
They're
things
just start to
happen.
flow because you're looking for it.
You're
Yes.
looking for it and you kind of need it. You're like, depending on the goodness of God, or they say the Camino, like I think it's God for me personally.
Hmm.
You know, there's always provision, always. Like can't even tell. Like one time I was walking in Italy and I dropped, you know what a buff is? Like a scarf,
Okay.
those things that you wear skiing around your neck, or you can
Mm-hmm.
wear the headband. It's
Okay.
actually a brand, BUFF. And I had a buff that had all my Camino stamps on it, and it's very,
Okay.
very sentimental. I wear
Okay.
it all the time. And
Yeah.
I bought it in Spain, and then I took it to Italy the next day. Well, I got to my lodging to wash it, and I had dropped it.
Mm.
And I was like devastated. I was so sad. And I just was like, well, whoever finds it must need it more than I do, and kind of had to say goodbye to it. 2 days later, I'm with my friend Tammy, and I had walked across Italy together, and she's like setting up her bed. She goes, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you. Yesterday, this guy asked me if I knew anyone that this belonged to. Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you." A man tied it on the end of his walking stick, and everybody that went by, he would say, "Is this yours?" And she knew
Oh.
that it was mine. He carried it for 2 days, hoping to find the rightful owner, and it
Wow.
made its way back to me.
Wow.
It's crazy wild. Like I I didn't even come across them, but my friend recognized it and said, "Oh my gosh, that's my friend Sue's. Yeah, I'll give it to her." I don't know. It's like stories like that that just it's
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
that's a huge heart of service, dedication, magic, synchronicity, and
know.
friendship, community, people coming together, caring about each other. We need more of these stories, Sue. Tell me more of them. What else? What else has happened that was like an act of kindness or synchronicity on your
An
travels?
act of kindness. Oh my gosh. It was my first Camino, and I was walking into a town called Astorga in Spain.
Okay.
And when it's, you're walking like anywhere between 12 and 15 miles a day. And the last 4 miles are really hard. Like I
Yeah,
don't
that's the other thing I need to ask you about is the length of these walks, but that's okay. Yes.
so I was walking with three women from the UK. It was
Okay.
mother and daughter and then her best friend.
Uh-huh.
And somehow Julie and I end up, I don't know, we got into this town called Astorga, and we saw a coffee shop, and we're like, "Oh, we're here," because our feet were like ready to fall off. So we had coffees, and we were like, "Okay, let's walk over to the hotel now." Well, we didn't realize that that was like the outermost of the town. So
Okay.
we got to that one coffee shop. We still had to walk like 4 miles. We were dying.
Whew.
Sidewalk in a semi-urban area. It was like really, really hard. And it's kind of funny. If there's anyone that's listening that's done a Camino, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's this in the town, there's a railroad track with one track,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty easy to walk over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, the town makes you climb up this fluorescent green stairway that's like 3 levels up, and you walk across, and you have to walk down the stairs. And
Okay.
walk across the steps, but they put a fence up so you can't. And
Okay. Okay.
thing, it's illegal to cross this. You have to climb it. And
Uh-huh.
she's like really afraid of heights. So she's like, it's swaying in the wind, and she was freaking out. And I was just like so tired. I was so done. We walk up, we walk down, and then we get into town. It was all uphill. So we're walking,
Oh.
it was like switchbacks to get up into the old part of the town. And then we get to the town, and it's like a stairway up to the front door of this condo.
Oh God.
And I sat down on the wall, and I almost started crying. I'm like, I can't do any more stairs. And we go in, and I was done, like capital D done. And this really kind nun comes over, and she's like, "Honey, just sit here. Give me your passport. Don't worry, you don't have to stand up to get in line." And then she like gave me the best bed they had because she knew I was so tired.
Oh.
And then she was just super, super nice. And um, then I took a shower, washed my clothes, and they didn't provide dinner. So they said, "We can either go to town or there's a kitchen." And I almost started crying because I was like, I don't have any energy to go to a restaurant right now.
You're like, I gotta go in the kitchen and figure out how to make something.
Well, I didn't even, there wasn't I didn't know where the grocery store was. And I was like,
Yeah.
guess I'll put my shoes on and go find a restaurant. But I was exhausted.
Yeah.
I have a picture of it right then, this Italian girl, and I want to say her name was like Letitia. She was my Camino angel. She literally comes around the corner and she goes, "Oh, hi, did you just get here?" And I go, "Yeah." She goes, "We made pasta and we have all this left over." It was a bowl of
Oh,
homemade pasta made by an Italian chef who was on
wow.
the trail at the same time. And they gave me their leftover bowl and it was like heaping. And I go, "Do I have to share this with anyone?" The whole thing. I just started crying. Like they gave me dinner and it was like the Camino provided.
Hmm.
And that's just how it is when you walk these pilgrim routes. Like everyone is so kind. We call it the Camino spirit,
Mhm.
and you just want more of it. It was just amazing, so amazing.
Wow.
But then,
Do you think, wait, Sue, do you think that you had past lives in Italy or any of these places that you've traveled to, Japan? Do you believe in that? What do you think draws you to these places?
that's a good question. I've never really thought about that. I mean, I know when my daughter did our genealogy, I will tell
Hmm.
you, I haven't done it yet.
Hmm.
Um, when my daughter did her like ancestry, whatever, or
Yeah, I've got mine in the drawer because I did it
yeah,
wrong and I have to do it over again.
okay, 23 and me or something. I don't know.
Yes.
She was, I think she said she was 1/8 Iberian, Northwest Iberian Peninsula,
Okay.
which is kind of interesting because if she's 1/8 Iberian Peninsula, that means I'm more.
Yep.
My dad did our genealogy and we were from Wales and Ireland.
Hmm.
And I'm like, why are we all so dark complected? Because my dad's like really dark complected.
Okay.
And I always heard we had a little bit of a Native American, a little bit, but he always said we were Black Welsh, which means the Moors went over to the Wales and Scotland and
Hmm.
Ireland and
Hmm.
settled. That's
Hmm.
all I can think of is are from Galicia. Because there is one town that I went into on the Camino called O Cabrero or O Sobrero.
Hmm.
And from the time I walked into the town, I couldn't stop crying.
Wow. See, that connection just tells me, everyone has their own beliefs, but I do Akashic record reading, so I can see some past lives and things, and I do believe in this. And it just tells me, oh, you had a life there. Yeah.
Or,
Yeah. I mean, that kind of
or
emotional connection, just,
well,
oh my
it's
God.
weird because I get that same feeling when I drive up to Mammoth on the 395.
Okay.
I do. It's weird. Like right between Bishop and Mammoth, if you are familiar with the 395 when you drive to Mammoth, like
No. Tell
oh,
me.
it's Mammoth is like Mammoth, the ski resort area. We
Yeah.
go hike in the summer.
Yeah.
And I feel like I get really emotional. I don't know if it's just because I love it and I know I'm getting close. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it could be that.
Okay, then I had it another time though. I did have that same feeling when I went to Egypt and I saw
Okay.
as soon as my eyes, like I laid my eyes on the pyramids,
Hmm.
I started crying and couldn't stop.
Yes.
But then,
Well, and also you have such a huge heart and deep appreciation, right? So I think also it's like that connection to what it took to create that and how old it is, and your connection to like the awe and wonder of life.
well, okay, it's either that and when I was a little kid, I used to build blanket forts and
Okay.
National Geographic magazines.
Yeah, there
And
you
I
go.
would make a
Uh,
list of where all the places I wanted to travel.
So you always had this in you.
I did.
Yeah. Did
Always.
your parents travel? Did you guys travel when you were younger, or didn't start until college?
My dad was like throw the kids in the back of the station wagon and drive from Ohio to out west. We always said out west.
Okay.
Mom loved going out west. I thought she always said out west.
Uh-huh.
I remember being at the Grand Canyon. I remember my brother and I early memory of like being out on a floaty as a little kid out in the middle of the Great Salt Lake with my brother.
Okay.
But my dad wasn't a big, like, let's go to Europe kind of guy
Uh-huh.
with the kids in the station wagon. My mom had the wanderlust.
Mm.
Would be like, and I got that from her, and I love it. Like if we're driving, I remember one time we were in Hawaii and there was this dirt road, and I said to my husband, "Go down that dirt road, go down that dirt road." The kids were like, "Oh my God, why do we have to go down?" I was like, "Just go down the dirt. I just feel it in my gut. Something's cool down there." And we went down, and at the end of the dirt road was a waterfall, and all the locals were jumping off the waterfall, and they had a rope swing. So we hung out with locals for like 3 hours swimming.
That's
And
awesome.
it's like, and I said, "See, you only find the cool stuff when you go off the beaten track."
You're like Sacagawea. You're like the
Oh my God,
pioneer.
you said that. That's what I say that.
You do you?
Yeah, I think I have American Indian. I have Native American roots, a little bit,
Yeah.
not a huge amount.
Yeah,
But
so I live right where the Lewis and Clark Trail is, and like there's a Sacagawea trails and yeah, all that.
no, I always say that. I do. I
That's great.
I would love to have been her.
Well, your spirit is the same as hers, and you're doing a similar thing. You're helping people walk home to themselves. So, immersing yourself in different cultures and nature through your travels and long walks taught you about expanding your capacity to feel good and nurturing your overall well-being. We talked about that. How do you integrate both physical health, because these walks are long, they're not short, and mental resilience? How do you build people into like the stamina of the walks? Do they need to practice ahead of time and like get their walking in, like walk 5 miles a day ahead of time before they come on the trip with you?
That's yeah. In fact, I just met on Zoom with some clients last week, and I just said, start walking. First thing, get a pair of shoes that are super comfortable, and just start walking.
Yeah.
Literally just start walking. And then make sure that you buy shoes that are super comfortable. So buy early enough that if you have to take them back and switch them out, because sometimes it takes 2 or 3 tries.
Wait,
And
what store are you shopping at that you can bring your sneakers back after
REI,
you've worn them?
and no, they don't pay me to say that. I actually
Really?
take classes at REI, and I don't
Okay,
work.
I didn't know that.
No, they're amazing. If you join their membership, I actually mentor pilgrims as a volunteer with American Pilgrims on the Camino,
Oh.
a local Orange County volunteer, and we teach classes at REI or other sports stores,
Oh,
and
wow.
we only buy from stores that have that return policy because you have to have comfortable shoes. Your foot swells like a half a size to a size bigger when you walk these routes, so
Yeah.
it's so important.
Okay, Sue, I a couple years ago broke my toe and kept walking on it. I was like, oh, it's fine. Whatever, it'll heal. Was walking in Birkenstocks, made it worse. 2 weeks after, and then I was like, oh, I should like lay down, put it up, put my foot up. After another week of that, icing it, putting it up, I'm like, I should go to the foot doctor. I go to the foot doctor. Long story short is it never like fully healed correctly. And he was like, oh, well, if it keeps being in pain, get surgery. I never wanted to get surgery. Anyway, point being, it's a lot better. But if I'm hiking, because on my retreats, like I'll take women on some little hikes, it'll start to hurt after like, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 minutes. So I'm thinking, how do I do Sue's thing? Because I mean, just some people maybe can't do it,
Do you think
unfortunately.
have you ever had an X-ray recently?
Not recently.
I
The
just
but
wonder,
the X-ray showed that it was healed, but clearly it
I
wasn't
wonder,
healed properly.
and now I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if this is even a thing, but because I have it in my foot, I'm just kind of wondering
Oh,
if there's a tiny bit of scar tissue that has led to arthritis.
okay.
But so, like, if you eat an anti-inflammatory diet, do
Yeah.
you notice that some foods make it worse?
I notice if it's raining or like if it's
That
wet,
sounds like that sounds like
it'll hurt more.
arthritis. Yeah, I have arthritis in my foot, and I went to a doctor. He goes, "Look at your foot, and you can see it. It kind of looks like a, oh, let me think, not a spider web. It's actually kind of cool looking on an X-ray. It's like a netting, like a mesh. It looks like a
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
the bones are white. Like it's like it should like a healthy foot would be like black with the white bones.
Uh-huh.
You see like a cool looking little fine lines of mesh. That's the at least this is what the doctor told me. That's the arthritis. And he goes,
Oh.
I go, I've never noticed I had arthritis. He's like, how do you walk across? How do you do what you do? I'm like, I don't know, but I do eat like an anti-inflammatory diet. I try really hard,
Mhm.
and I think maybe that's it. I don't know.
Tell
And
me more about your diet. So what are your go-tos that you love?
I avoid gluten
Okay.
because the gluten makes me get inflamed.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
only eat dairy if it's has what do you call it? Probiotics.
Uh-huh.
Like I can eat the cheese in France and Italy and it doesn't bother me.
Love it.
Like you won't see me eating Velveeta, like, or I can't drink milk.
Can we
And
talk about the food in Italy? Can you
please,
tell me about the food?
oh my gosh, it's just like that's. I love going to Italy.
Is it all the hype? Because okay, here's the thing. I've never been to Italy in this lifetime, but I think I must have lived there in a past life. I feel very connected, very called, maybe ancestrally. Okay, but like you hear about it and you read about it and one Italian summer and but is it all the hype?
Yes,
Yeah.
and like okay, so the cool thing that most Americans don't realize, and I didn't even realize this until I went in 2019, because I walked from the Swiss border down to Rome. It took about 40 days.
40 days?
Yeah, I literally walked from
Wow, damn.
right south of the pass all the way
Yeah.
to Rome. So like I passed through all the different regions.
How many hours do you walk every day when you were doing that?
Like 12 miles. Like
Okay.
you leave at like 7 and I can't walk before coffee. I just
12
can't.
miles isn't horrible.
No, some days you had to walk farther, but for the most part, 12 miles, right?
Okay.
And so we walked first. The region was like the Aosta Valley, Aosta. It looks like Aosta Valley, or in Italian, they say Val d'Aosta.
Okay.
And then, so then we walked from like, and then we went through, oh God, what's that region called? Emilia Romagna, and then Tuscany, and then Umbria. So you're walking through all these regions. The most frustrating thing, and I never knew this, is when you think of Italian food, what do you think of?
You think of pasta,
Yeah.
pizza,
Oh,
mozzarella,
okay.
caprese,
There's all these dishes.
burrata.
Yeah, there's all these dishes Americans have never heard of, right? And there's this one called testeroli. Oh my God. And it's like considered peasant food. So it's basically like a crepe and they pour it in a pan, like
Yeah.
little grandmas make it in their house. And
Uh-huh.
then you fold it like into fourths,
Yeah.
like a crepe. You just
Yeah.
keep folding it till it looks like a little triangle on
Yeah.
the plate.
Yep.
And they give you like three of those on a plate. And it usually comes with either homemade pesto with a few pine nuts sprinkled on top, or the savory dessert kind is like brown sugar and caramel, like caramelized butter.
Hmm.
It's either sweet or savory. Well, I was in this town called Pontromoli, which is like north of Tuscany, and I loved it. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever eaten. And I had only had it in that one town. So I get to the next town the next day and I asked for that. And the guy laughed at me. He's like, no, 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 that's only in the last town. There's all these little dishes that are like only in those towns
Oh,
that we've never even heard of. So, like,
yeah.
there's what we think of as Italian food, we literally just scratch the surface. Like, there was this other town, and I can't even remember the name of it, and they had like stuffed crust pizza that was only in that town. I never saw it anywhere else.
Did you love it?
I loved it, but it's like you better eat it and appreciate it because you're not getting it again. It's like so regional. It's so cool.
And it's not like Domino's stuffed crust pizza either.
No. And it's like, so yeah, like if you're somewhere like in Rome at the tourist places, you might find more stuff, but
Mhm.
true regional stuff only has that food in that area.
When you do your walks, are you hitting the touristy places? It seems like you're kind of doing the more authentic, real life walking in the
Yeah,
areas that you go to.
right. Like when I walked in 19, I was in shock because we walked through towns I had never heard of. Most, not even travel agents haven't heard a lot of these towns, right? Because you're just going town to town. And you're seeing the true authentic. And I remember it was, we left, well, wait, let me think. We left the first day was, I think we headed out May 27th. So then we walked all through June and then we got to Rome on July 2nd. So when we hit Tuscany, the first town, no tourists. It's called San Miniato.
Mhm.
Lucca had some tourists. I was in Lucca, of
Mhm.
course. Lucca has some tourists, but San Miniato had no tourists. It's a hilltop town. It's gorgeous, overlooking vineyards. And then we got to San Gimignano, which I had never heard of. It was like Disney on a bad day. It was shoulder to shoulder. There were like tour buses parked out front of the city gate. There were like all these people carrying the flags with like the trail of tourists behind them.
Okay.
And I look at my friend Tammy and I was like, she's like, we got to get out of here
Yeah.
because it was just so weird to be around American tourists. It was just
Mm,
bizarre. It was just
mm.
such a culture shock. And and then yeah, so it was huge culture shock. That was the only town. And then we did take a rest day in the Cinque Terre. Have you ever heard of the Cinque Terre? It's like
No, I don't know any of these places.
it's real touristy and then there's a lot of Americans. And I'll never forget. It was so funny. My friend, we're sitting there and we had just walked into town. I think we took a quick shower and left with our hair wet, and we sat down at this kind of nice restaurant, like on the water with tourists. And the next table was Americans, and we were starving. And I was like, I'm so hungry. And she's like, I'm so hungry I could eat my arm. And we're sitting there. We told the waiter, please hurry, we're so hungry. And
Mhm.
walked here. And the table next to us, it was like a family with two teenage kids. Like, yeah, we walked here too. And she goes, no, we walked from the Swiss border. And they were like,
Not from
what?
the parking lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And they're like,
Yeah.
what? We're like, no, we walked from the cheese that passed because we had done double miles that day. And it was really hard. We had to
Mhm.
go down this mountain where we were like, I was holding onto a tree stump. Like, otherwise I would have slid down. It was so steep. I am not athletic either. It was so hard. And the guy jokingly said, well, if you're that hungry, do you want some of our bread? And she goes, yeah.
You're like, yeah.
He thought he was kidding. And she's like, wait, no, really, can we have your bread? Sat there, we ate that poor family's bread. And then the waiter brought us.
Okay, so I think you need like someone that's just on snack duty when you're doing your walks, that's like carrying a cooler of fun, healthy snacks that you can just like have as you're going. Like, here's a little cheese charcuterie board.
You know about all the food rules in Italy?
No?
It's so interesting. I never knew this until I did this, but they have all these rules. Like,
Okay.
in fact, that day when we were really hungry, she ordered, or one of us ordered a pasta with shrimp on it.
Okay.
And so the waiter comes by and she goes, can I get some Parmesan cheese? And he goes, no, 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 no. Because you don't put cheese on seafood ever,
Yeah. Okay.
ever. It's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I don't
well,
think I don't tend to do that.
really? Like if you have like linguine with clam sauce, you wouldn't put,
Well, I don't see, that's just my personal thing is I don't really eat a lot of that kind of like I'll have fish or salmon or
yeah.
trout or what like but I don't usually have cheese on it.
But
Yeah.
this finger wag, I know this is a podcast, people can't see me. It's a finger wag.
We'll
I
see
got,
on the YouTube version. Yeah.
oh no, really? Oh shoot. Okay,
You look great.
I got the finger wag no fewer than three times. And it was one when we asked for cheese with fish. The second time it was like 11 in the morning and I asked for a cappuccino and I got this from another Italian walker and the bartender because I
Yeah.
guess you don't have milk in your coffee past like 8 in the morning. It's only breakfast.
Oh.
If you have a mid-morning coffee, you're not supposed to put milk.
They probably don't do almond milk there either.
Probably not. But they're like, I think he actually said it's fattening. Like, don't body shame me. No, they don't put milk in their coffee. And you get this. And then the other time, oh gosh, I stopped in a little like bar to get a sandwich, like a little book of what do you call it? A
Hmm.
wait, panini is
Yeah.
that's plural. So pinine, I think, is one sandwich.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I was like, yeah. And I was like, fromage or whatever. I'm trying to speak Italian and I pointed to the meat and the cheese. And then and he had like in his case, he had like roasted vegetables, like roasted peppers, roasted eggplant, cheese, and meat. So I said,
Hmm.
can you? And I pointed all three. He's like, no,
Hmm.
you have
Is
either,
it like kosher?
no, they just have rules.
Uh-huh.
And my husband and I always joke that if you opened a Subway over there, you would either be it would either really be a hit or they'd be like, where are you mixing all those weird things on your sandwiches? Like they don't mix it.
Yeah.
The strangest thing.
Interesting.
It's so good.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you have created a life of adventure, clearly. Clearly so much adventure, family, wellness. What advice would you offer to someone looking to step out of their comfort zone and embrace a more adventurous and fulfilling life? Because a lot of Americans don't go outside of America. So, or if you've had kids and you're just kind of gotten used to being home, or if you've just been through COVID and we're still kind of like, some people are still feeling like, I don't want to travel, like they're scared to travel. Um, what words of encouragement would you give them to help expand that?
Book the trip. I mean, I think, I think, I don't know which, I guess I would have to identify. I feel like there's people who have misconceptions.
Okay.
So I'm asking you, like, what is one, have you been out of the country?
I have, yeah, Canada, Mexico. My husband's British, so we go to London almost every year. We've been to Spain. When I was in college, I stayed for a month in Luxembourg. I traveled to Amsterdam and Paris. But not Italy, but not Italy. And I haven't been to Japan, so that's
I,
coming, yeah.
I maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of people have the misconception that it's super expensive.
Bulgaria.
Oh,
I filmed a movie in Bulgaria for a month. But
wow.
people have a misconception, you were saying.
That it's expensive.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah.
the
But
US is more
it doesn't
expensive.
have to be. Yeah.
No. In
Yeah.
fact,
Can be
like,
really cheap.
yeah, and you can find cheap flights and like I'll have people say, "Oh, it must be nice to travel." And I know they go to like Hawaii with their family for a week.
Right. Right.
I'm telling you, like you could go to Italy for 3 weeks, probably cheaper than 1 week in Italy. I mean,
Well, in Hawaii. Yeah. Oh, Hawaii is
yeah.
so expensive. We
And
love Hawaii, but it's
even
so
Florida.
expensive.
Yeah, even Florida. Like it's like, okay, here, I just told my
It's
husband
just like getting there.
getting there,
What?
they have cheap flights. I mean, I don't know. I feel like, and then I think people are afraid because they're afraid. Like it's
Because
fearful.
it's unknown.
It's unknown. And you've got Google Translate. I go places where I don't speak the language, but I never have had a problem anywhere. You just it just works. Like I can speak a little bit of French, I can speak some Spanish, I can speak a tiny bit of Italian, enough to call and ask for a room. You know, like when
Mhm.
you're walking these pilgrimages, you got to figure out how am I going to get rooms. But I mean, I've gone to Thailand. I can't even read Japan. I don't know how to say one thing in Japanese. Like I've been to, but I don't know why. It's like something magic happens. I can't explain it, but humans know what the other person's. It's not that hard to communicate. It's not that.
I've been watching with my 9-year-old son this YouTube guy called Ryan Trahan.
Oh,
and he travels. He's like my new hero. He travels all over the world, and it's incredible. And it's made me just watching his YouTube channel. It's so fun. You should check it out.
what's his name?
Ryan Trahan.
You should have him on your show.
I want to. Good luck getting any of these big YouTubers to like actually respond. Tell me how, Sue.
Okay.
But maybe you can get him onto my show.
Never hurts to ask, right?
Oh, I've messaged. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. But
So when
hey,
he's back,
if you're listening to this podcast and you know how to get Ryan Trahan on my show, then help me out here and I'll
yes.
give you
Okay.
a shout out. Um, just watching his channel, he like one of the ones we just watched, he goes to the oldest town in Italy and I can't remember the name of it, something with an
Matera.
M, but yeah, Matera.
Matera.
See, you know. But
There's a
yeah, I was
cameo
gonna say
there.
it's with an M, but the caves and he's like stays there and he shows you and he makes friends everywhere he goes. And that's my point is like he just watching him has inspired me. Because he doesn't really, I mean, he like, picks things up like you're saying, but he just kind of makes friends and he has the same attitude you do of like bringing out the kindness in people, seeing the good in people, thinking that it's easy and then therefore it will be. I mean, yes, you've had challenges that you've explained, which I also want people to not feel discouraged because, you know, we've talked about a few stories where you're like, it was so hard, it was so hard, it was exhausting,
Oh, the
we're
hiking.
so hungry. So
Yeah.
maybe let's end with a story that is going to be not like we're
Oh,
exhausted and worn out. Like what do
I,
you think would be a good ending story here?
thing is, I hope I didn't like make it sound miserable. The thing is, when you do something really hard, that's the best feeling in the world afterwards.
Yes.
Like I hope I didn't make it sound like we were hungry and tired. We laugh about it now though, but it was hard. Like, but then I look back and I can look at a map and be like, oh my gosh, I literally walked from France over the whole top of Spain. Or I can look at a map of Italy and be like, I have literally with my own 2 feet walked all the way down. And there's like a feeling of accomplishment that is unbelievable. Like on my trip, I lead women to France, right, with my company. And there's this, it's like 11 days of walking or 10 days of walking. In the middle, the very middle day, like halfway through the trip is our hardest day. And there's really no other way to do it because the towns are that far apart. And it's like 18 miles. And I always tell people, you got to plan for this day, you got to train for this day. And I say, just walk, stretch, learn some yoga poses to stretch out your muscles. And after that day, everybody says, oh my God, I feel like I could do everything, anything I want now.
Right.
And one of my clients from 2 years ago literally told me on the phone the other day, she said something like, I hope I don't misquote her, but she's like, I want you to know that after I did your trip, my real estate business has taken off because I realized after that trip, I can do anything I set my mind to do. I was like,
You can do anything.
you can do
Yes, the
anything.
feeling of pride and accomplishment.
It's a,
Yeah.
but getting back to something, if I have time to say this real quick about the Ryan Trahan guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to just say that the kindness of strangers is so like it's so unifying as a human element. Have you ever watched that guy Leon something and he has the kindness journals or something on YouTube? Or no, he's on Netflix. And he
Okay.
drives around with no money and it relies on the kindness of strangers.
Well, that's kind of like this guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
just okay. Well, I got to tell you real quick. I was walking. I walked with a friend in Italy, but then there were days where she went ahead or I went ahead, and so we made a point of meeting up every few days.
Okay.
This particular day, I was walking by myself south of Siena in Tuscany between Siena and Rome, and I had a TIM card, which is like a SIM card for if you have an
Mm-hmm.
unlocked phone,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden my phone just stopped working. I was out of data because I had bought like X amount of gigabytes or whatever. I don't even know. And this was before the days of eSIM cards. So my phone just stopped working.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to rely on the GPS, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then I was in my own la la land listening to my playlist with my earbuds on. And I always keep it low enough where I can hear birds. I mean, I get into this zone when I'm by myself walking that you're praying, you're meditating. It's like the best feeling in the world. All of a sudden, I was like, oh my gosh, my phone didn't work. Well, I couldn't find any more arrows because you follow arrows on these routes. There's way markers. And I was lost and I couldn't figure out where I was. And I went up to all these houses and no one was home. And I just, I I literally started walking on this road, and the only car that came by were policemen. And I was like, "Hello," and I was like, "Can you help me? I'm out of data." I'm trying to explain to them, and they're like, "We can't give you a ride." And I go, I literally was like trying to say it in Italian. I need to call my husband. I'm worried he's going to think I'm dead because I haven't checked in a couple days and my phone's dead and I know people are going to worry about like I was like all of a sudden having all these crazy thoughts.
Yeah.
Cops put me in the back of their car and drove me to the bar. The guy went in and like helped me buy more time on my Tim card. I mean, it was just like they were so kind that reminded me of that. Like they were just so kind. And it
It's
was
just, it sounds like you really, Sue, that you really have this deep trust of the universe and of respect of the earth and of cultures and people, and like that there's this fortification of the humanity that connects all of us that you've viscerally, tangibly experienced over and over and over again. And it's really beautiful, and I do wish for everyone to have that kind of experience and those feelings that you feel when you're walking. So, thank you for being the unique person that you are. And clearly you're walking your mission. You're guiding other people to expand their lives, expand their capacity to feel good and to trust. It takes so much trust, what you keep describing, so much trust of the universe. But then you keep finding evidence that you're taken care of. So it's
oh always.
amazing. It's amazing. So thank you so much. This was so much fun. Thank you guys for listening. And if you guys are interested and you have questions and you want to get in touch with Sue, should they go to your Instagram or your website or email you? What do you want them to do?
I have a website. It's called womenwhowalktheworld.com.
And
Or
that'll be in the show notes. So if you guys want to click on that, you
then I
can.
have an Instagram, Women Who Walk the World, or Step Into Your Sparkle. I have two.
Step into your sparkle. That is amazing.
That was when I first thought I was going to do more nutrition, which I did. But then after COVID, I was like, nope, I want to do the walking.
Gotta follow the joy. So,
Yeah.
guys, keep expanding your capacity to feel good one step. I'm going to say that instead of one breath. I'm going to say one step at a time today. Love you guys. Thank you, Sue, for being so incredible. Thank you
Thanks for
for
having me.
gracing us with your time and energy and your passion and your love. And you're such a good storyteller, too. So, thank you.
Just get out there and go explore. It's a safe place, I promise.
Thank you for being a part of our journey today. As we expand our capacity to feel good, we're creating a community that celebrates authenticity and creativity. If this episode resonated with you, please go ahead and follow us and leave a 5-star review. It's great karma points. Your support helps us reach others who are seeking the same connection and inspiration that you are. If you love anything that you heard, text this episode to a friend or share it on Instagram and tag me at Siri Baruch Thornton. I'd love to repost and connect with you. Together, we can build a space where everyone feels empowered to explore their true selves. So until next time, keep embracing your creativity and slowly expanding your capacity to feel good, one breath at a time.